Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this September 3rd regular meeting of Orrville City Council. We'll begin this evening in prayer with Pastor Brad Dews from Orrville Baptist Church.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. What a beautiful day you've given us. The scripture says that your hand is written in the skies. Your voice speaks in your creation. And Lord, what an awesome opportunity it is to gather here this evening with neighbors and friends and co-workers to be able to do the business of this dear city. I pray your wisdom and blessing upon these who are here. I pray you give them guidance from above, that they might choose to act and to vote and to rule for the best interest of all. I thank you for this opportunity. Ask, Lord, your blessing upon this evening. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Dews. We can have the roll call, please.
Handwork.
Here.
Aspiris.
Here.
Lax.
Here.
Davies.
Excused.
Carr.
Here.
Shanklin.
Here.
Squirrel.
Here.
You should have received a copy of the meeting minutes of the regular meeting on July 15th, along with the special meeting on August 19th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Lax moves.
Second.
And Shanklin seconds.
Aspiris.
Yes.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We have no public comment on the agenda tonight.
Excuse me,
we'll
Mr. President.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion to allow the family in the back to make a public comment. They want to talk about transportation. Traffic is what I was told.
Okay, very good. They'll have 3 minutes to speak, so Shanklin moves. We have a second. Squirrel seconds.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Aspiris.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. You're invited to come up to the podium and introduce yourselves.
My name is Bill Rock. I've been living on the corner of Paradise and McGill Street
Excuse me,
for
sir.
51 years.
Spell your last name for me, please.
Rock, R-O-C-K.
Thank you.
I've been at the corner of Paradise and McGill for 51 years, and the traffic up McGill Street is just terrible. We got people just flying up and down through there. Lucky some kids haven't been hit because they do play on the streets up there. But one thing I've noticed over the years, there's no speed signs on that street at all. And I think that might help. I don't know. I'd like to see them put one of these meters in that tells your speed as you're going up the street. That might.
That or we need a four-way stop at Paradise and McGill.
Can I have your name, please?
Carol, Rock.
C-A-R-O-L?
Yes,
Thank you.
that would slow them down because they come around the curve and fly over the tracks, and by the time they get up halfway up the hill, they're really going fast. And there's a lot of little kids in that neighborhood.
I've seen one lady, now this has been a couple of years ago, in a minivan come down McGill Street there through Paradise, all four wheels off the ground, just going that fast.
And they had an accident there just a month or so ago. They're right there on that corner.
But yeah,
go ahead.
some of these guys just think it's a drag race, I guess. I don't know, up through there.
I know they had the same problem on Oak Street. They're saying, you know, Oak Street's just as bad, so I don't know if they go up there and then turn down Oak and fly through or what it is, but it's just too much.
I know a number of years ago, council did discuss that intersection along with Oak Street and stop signs and, you know, effective ways to try to curb speeds in that area. And I think we moved a stop sign at that time. 1 or 2 blocks to the west. And there was also discussion that you're really not permitted to use stop signs as a speed control device, and so that's one restraint, or constraint that the city has to work with. But there are a number of, I guess, criteria that can be used as far as where stop signs can go. But
Well, yeah, in answer to your concerns, I hear I know Chief Silent's back there absorbing in the information, so, there's a couple things we can do. One is obviously we can move the speed radar signs down there for a little while. That's not a big deal. We can also do what we call directed patrol, which is where our officers focus on a particular area to get folks to speed down. Now, to be very candid, obviously, they see the officers, they slow down,
Right,
and then they
right.
don't see the officers, and if it's the same people and over, they'll slow down, but hopefully that at least maybe a
Right.
ticket or some sort of a discouragement from speeding would help that.
Okay.
And we'll have our, there's a couple areas we've looked at that we've had council talk to us about wanting to look at a potential stop sign. That actually requires a study.
Right.
So our goal is to do some of that this winter as well, so.
Okay,
But in the meantime, we can definitely do the speed limit sign, the directed patrol, and the radar sign as well.
okay.
We
All right.
also, the police department has been doing a directed patrol in that neighborhood because we have been getting complaints. I believe in the last 2 weeks, we've made 24 to 30 traffic stops. But we can target specifically this intersection if that's the one that you guys are concerned about.
Yeah.
And I'll get your guys' information. I'll have our patrol supervisor touch base with you, confirm that we are talking about the right area.
Okay.
And then after we're done with that direct patrol, we'll get in touch with you to see if we can notice a difference.
Okay,
I'll get your information.
all right, thank you. Thank you.
thank you. That feedback is valuable to us. Mr. Handworth?
I had a quick question for you. There's a stop sign on Paradise, right?
Yes,
And then north and south is where you're seeing the speeding?
yeah.
Yeah, up and down, going up to Oak
And down
Street.
Is there a
McGill.
certain time that you see it more frequently, or is it all the time?
Pretty much all the time.
Okay.
I know I sit out on the porch in the daytime when I'm home, and you can just see them flying up. And the school bus stops right there on that corner of Paradise and McGill every day, twice a day. More next kindergarten bus stops at noon. And the kids get out and cross the road there. So I know there's a lot of little ones up that way.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, that will conclude our public comment portion of our agenda this evening, so we'll move on to our standing committee reports. So we'll begin with our Finance Committee. Mr. Lax.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance Committee has not met. I have no report.
Thank you, sir. Our Health and Safety Committee, Mr. Spears.
Thank you, Mr. President. Health and Safety has not met. I have no report for tonight.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Handworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Parks and Rec has not met, therefore I have no report, but I did want to share, we're looking at doing the fourth annual Fall Fest, Saturday, October 19th. So we're going to put a formal announcement out there pretty soon, but just wanted to put that out there.
All right, thank you. Our Planning Committee, Ms. Carr.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Planning Committee did not meet. However, the Housing Council met to review the current tax abatements, and all were approved.
Thank you. Ordinance and Personnel, Ms. Squirrel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance and personnel has not met, therefore I have no report.
Thank you. And Transportation, Mr. Shanklin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Transportation Committee has not met, therefore I have no report.
Thank you, sir. We have no special committee reports, so we'll move on to our administrative reports. And Mayor Flyban.
Thank you, Mr. President. It has been nearly 4 weeks since August 8th of the flash floods, and the resilience of our residents and businesses has shined through. Commendable efforts from our fire, police, wastewater, water, power plant, distribution, and street departments for their service during the flood on keeping our citizens safe and maintaining our city services. Today, we have concluded our 5 dumpster areas, as many residents use them to dispose of water damaged items. And special thanks to our street department for checking on the dumpsters, and thanks to Kimball and Broom Hauling for their dumpster services. Mr. Wheeler and I have been having meetings with our nonprofits, United Way and the Salvation Army, and they are currently developing a plan to assist our citizens in the area of expenses on lost items with vouchers, and more information will be coming on that. And then a special congratulations goes to our finance department and our finance director, Janet Strimlin, for another clean audit on our 2023 annual comprehensive financial report conducted by Zupka and Associates. And this is a direct result of everybody's hard work. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, we'll move on then to our Safety Service Director, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. The trash pickup is delayed one day this week due to Labor Day, so the pickup will be Friday morning. Did want to recognize Officer Strapowicki, who is one of the 4 finalists for the Mental Health CIT Crisis Intervention Team Officer of the Year. Unfortunately, he did not win it, but it was a well-deserved honor being recognized as one of the 4 finalists, and congratulations to Officer Strapowicki. We did get the emergency work done last week on the railroad culvert. That was the legislation that the council approved at the special meeting. That was done very quickly. Definitely special recognition to our city engineer, Abby Wilson, for her hard work and getting that organized and getting it completed pretty rapidly. Way beyond normal city speed, let's put it that way. We did open OPWC project bid last week. We did award the low bid to Vasco. The pre-construction meeting is scheduled for this week. The bids all came in great, so I don't know if that's a good sign that on the economy or a bad sign in regards to how things are going. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Spears.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Wheeler, is there any way you'd be able to forward us along some pictures of the repairs to that railroad culvert?
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to think I might make it out there, but just in case I don't.
Yeah, for sure. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Hanworth.
Mr. Wheeler, I had a question for you as well.
Yes, sir.
And this is kind of off the cuff, but I had a citizen ask me about our pavement marking process.
I actually meant to comment on that in my report as well.
Are you going to speak to that?
I can't, yes, you
Yeah.
reminded me to, yes.
Okay.
DOT process really was bogged down. Another, was one that wasn't moving very fast, and then all of a sudden they told Abby Wilson, you have 2 weeks to get us the plans. And so as a result, that's why the OPWC bid went out a little later than usual, because she was hammering out the marking plans. That is now out for bid. That bid opening is scheduled for next week. The hope is still to get that project done this fall yet. I'm going to assume that most of the bidders on that project will be large, companies that are able to handle that amount of work in a fairly quick amount of time. So I will know more next week on it. We're excited. Again, Abby, once again, really did a fantastic job on that and kind of taking a project that wasn't going anywhere and kind of pushing it over the goal line. So,
Just in general, the pavement marking, is that tied into the OPWC bids, or how does that work?
So what's interesting is that money is actually remaining money from what we originally called the bypass project. It became the High Street Extension project as well as the Pine Street project. That project started in '06, even before I got here, and kind of as they did the studies, they realized that most of the truck traffic couldn't be diverted out of town because it was coming into town. So that was where the High Street Extension and the Pine Street projects made sense. That money is remaining from that project, and it's a federal earmark, actually from Ralph Regula.
Wow.
So, yes. So, and that money was left, and they said, I guess you don't need it. We said, well, what can we use it for? And they said, well, you could use it for very little things, but one of them is markers.
Okay.
So this is 100% funded by still the federal earmark from the bypass, what was originally known as the truck bypass project.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure.
All right. Nothing else. We'll move on then to our Utilities Director, Mr. Brediger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The sewer department continues on going around the sewer main cammering and jetting as a follow-up to the flood that we had last month. We're finding minimal areas needing to be addressed, but since that encompassed a significant portion of our system, we're working the areas that saw the most flooding to make sure that we don't have any issues there. And that work will still be going through probably for the most part in September. So we are still addressing that to make sure that there wasn't anything pushed back into those lines that could put us in a tough position. The other thing, you'll, if you haven't already started receiving some notifications from various natural gas suppliers, you will be. September and October is usually the time when those marketers hit the street. The city's natural gas program runs from November through the end of October. So if you're currently enrolled on the city's natural gas program with IGS, that renewal period coming up beginning November 24th will be for 2 years, and that is a fixed price of $4.12. So we are up over $6, coming off of $6. If you go out on the Public Utility Commission's website, they're apples to apples. You will find a few better deals out there, not a lot better, but maybe 25, 30 cents an MCF cheaper, which if you do the math on that, you might be able to save 25 to 30 bucks, somewhere in that neighborhood. There are some pretty attractive 12-month deals out there. Those are ranging a little bit less than $3. So these programs run from anywhere month to month to up to 5 years. So if you're interested in any of those, you can switch anytime. Again, if you're currently enrolled in the city's program, you don't have to do anything. If you want to switch, you just pick the new supplier, give them the Dominion, which is now Enbridge, account number, and they will disenroll you. I wouldn't shy away from a 2-year deal. Natural gas prices are expected to go up next year. How far kind of remains to be seen. But again, that's a personal choice. The reason our price is a little bit higher than what's out there now, we went out, we normally go out a little earlier for that because we aggregate our city along with 4 or 5 other communities, and it's just a timing and it's a market thing. So if anybody has any questions regarding that, there's information on our website. You can call our office, and I'll be making this public service announcement a few times between now and the end of October. But again, in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. And with that, Mr. President, would conclude the information from utilities tonight.
All right, thank you. Our Finance Director is not able to be here this evening, so we'll move on to our Law Director, Mrs. Kirkbride.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Our clerk has a liquor license permit to announce.
I do. The location previously used by Scratch Steakhouse on Hostetler Road is now come to us for a new liquor license. They are Oroville Pub, LLC, doing business as Geo's Sports Pub and Pizza. They are looking for a D1, a D2, a D3, and a D3A. D1 is beer on-premises consumption or in original sealed containers for carryout until 1 a.m. D2 is wine and mixed beverages on-premises consumption or carryout until 1 a.m. D3 is spirituous liquor for on-premises consumption until 1 a.m. And D3A is extended privileges until 2:30 a.m.
All right, very well. Council normally does not take action on these, but if you want, you can request a hearing. It's been so long, I can't remember what that process is.
Well, we check the box and tell them we'll request a hearing. And
Okay. Yeah. So Council historically has not, but that's up to you. Not seeing any interest in doing that, so we will then move on in our agenda. We have no old business, and so we can move on to new business.
Resolution 2224. I move that this resolution be placed on first reading.
Second.
Second, Mr. Handwork.
Carr.
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Asperis.
Yes.
Lax.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2224. A resolution authorizing the Board of Control to enter into an agreement and/or agreements through a federal or state purchasing cooperative contract to design and build 2 pickleball courts and declaring an emergency.
One of the most requested items, I think, the of us have heard. So, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the resolution I did mention at the last meeting I'd be coming forward with. This project would be through Vasco. Coincidentally, they were the low bidder on the OPWC project as well. Vasco was the original construction company on the original pickleball courts. They would do very identical courts, in fact, to what's already there. To the south, I wanted to bring this was on the radar for next year's budget. I wanted to bring this to you because I think we've all heard how much pickleball is growing, and my concern is if we waited to the spring, then we may look at the fall or even into the following year. So I did reach out to our contact at Vasco, who is really good to work with, and he said, well, if you can give me a commitment in September, we might be able to squeeze in the construction in the fall and then finish the paintings first thing in the spring when it's, when it unthaws enough. And so we'll have pretty much almost the whole season next year for that additional pickleball court. As President Vance mentioned, it's that's probably the biggest demand we've ordered or we've heard in regards to what folks are looking for. So here's an opportunity to move forward with it. If you want some good news to go along with it, the OPWC bid came in significantly less than budgeted. So we do have the money within the budget that we can squeeze this in this year. The way that typically works, even if they do finish the project in 2025, the 2024 money is kind of encumbered. So that's where that would come out of for this. They would come out of this current year. Be glad to answer any questions. They are anxiously awaiting this legislation, to be honest. Obviously, they can't kind of get it on the books, if you will, until I give them the authorization through a purchase order, which obviously I can't issue until council approves the legislation.
Questions or comments? Mr. Spears.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it going to be just a completely separate facility?
So it's going to be connected, if you will. There's going to be a fence. That's been the biggest thing we've heard is folks want the fence so that the balls aren't flying into other courts.
Sure.
So it'll be abutting, but separate, if that makes any sense.
Any thought to putting a gate to
That is
traverse
the plan,
between
is to have a
the
gate,
two?
yes.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely want to put the original discussion was whether or not to even put the fence back, and that was definitely something we decided was a wise move, just because we've heard quite a bit about folks liking the separate court so that the balls aren't, going into other people's courts.
Sure.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've been wondering if any drainage work needs to be done going to the south there.
I'll double check with Ryan on that. I know they've looked at that, and honestly, everything they've done this to date, including the lighting, was in anticipation of more courts coming. So we'll double check and make sure that's obviously part of this to make sure we're in good shape there. But I believe most of what we've done there infrastructure-wise was in anticipation of these new courts as well.
I move that the rules, regulations, and statutes requiring a reading of a resolution on 3 separate days be suspended.
Second.
Second, Carr.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Asperis.
Yes.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance.
Adopted as
That was just a
I'm sorry,
suspend.
that's right, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Jumping ahead. I move that Resolution 2224 be adopted as read.
Second.
Shanklin seconds.
Squirrel?
Yes.
Handwick?
Yes.
Asperis?
Yes.
Lax?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Shanklin?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance D24. A motion to amend the correct 3 parcels to add a 0. Parcels 59-00380.000, 59-00381.000, and 59-00382.000.
So I just want to clarify that what's in the agenda is correct. Their legislation is incorrect?
No. The title is incorrect, and also the legislation, those 3 parcels are missing a 0.
Oh, okay. So what she read was 3 zeros.
What she read was correct.
And you're adding what she read was correct.
What she just, in the motion, she made the correction.
Okay, very good.
The 381, 382, 380, 381, and 382 need an additional 0, prefacing those numbers.
Oh, okay. So what we have before us is a motion to amend the legislation, and then we'll vote on the legislation itself.
Second.
Shanklin seconds.
Handwork?
Yes.
Asperis?
Yes.
Lax?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Shanklin?
Yes.
Squirrel?
Yes.
Amend approval.
Ordinance D24. I move that this ordinance be placed on first reading.
Second.
Shanklin seconds.
Asperis?
Yes.
Lax?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Shanklin?
Yes.
Squirrel?
Yes.
Handwork?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance D24. An ordinance vacating an alley which runs east and west parallel to High and Howard Street between Wayne County parcels number 59-02376.000, 59-02374.000, 59-02373.000, 59-02375.000, 59-00380.000, 59-00381.000, and 59-00382.000 in the city of Orville, Ohio.
Well, we have our zeros in for the evening. So any other discussion? Mr. Wheeler?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a request from Campbell Oil, the current owners of Dairy Queen. They are requesting vacation of what we refer to as a paper alley, which means the alley doesn't really exist. It's on the zoning map. If you were to go out there, it's all green space currently. They do own both sides of what would be the paper alley. So why they're requesting this is they are in the process of expanding the Dairy Queen facility with new construction. So they are, one part of that is to add double lanes for the drive-through in order to hopefully alleviate some of the traffic that sometimes backs up into High Street. So as a result, they're pushing kind of all that's behind, to the north, if you will. So they would need to utilize that property.
Questions or comments?
I move that the rules, regulations, and statutes requiring a reading of an ordinance on 3 separate days be suspended.
Second.
Shanklin seconds.
Sorry.
Lax?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Shanklin?
Yes.
Squirrel?
Yes.
Handwork?
Yes.
Asperis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I move that ordinance D24 be adopted as read.
Second.
Second is Spears.
Carr?
Yes.
Shanklin?
Yes.
Squirrel?
Yes.
Handwork?
Yes.
Asperis?
Yes.
Lax?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance E24. I move that this ordinance be placed upon first reading.
Second.
Second, Mr. Handberg.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Asperis.
Yes.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance E24, an ordinance amending Chapter 1112, Section 1112.07 of the zoning code of the City of Orville, Ohio, relating to parking and access for retail stores and services.
Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. President. The zoning code was amended in 2019. One part of that was the parking code was updated. Now that a project has come before us, we've realized that the parking code has become more restrictive in regards to requiring more spaces as a result of some language changes that, for whatever reason, none of us caught at the time. Which basically that on the eating and drinking establishments, it required one per 75 square foot of total area. So that would then take into account the kitchen area, the coolers, the food storage area. So as a result, now you're requiring additional parking for all those, and I hate to use the word dead areas, but areas that obviously are not going to require any parking with them. The prior code did read that way in regards to the one space requirement per 75 square foot of customer service area, and then the one per plus 3 employees. So, and working with Dairy Queen on this, we realized they were going to have vastly more parking than what they currently have, and even more than they are going to have with the new building with this code. So we did want to bring it back to you. We do need it to go 3 readings since it is a zoning amendment, but did want to bring it back to you for your consideration to change. We also took it to Planning Commission. They actually, they did agree that that wasn't the original intent of the change in the code. Dairy Queen was okay. They were able to get a variance to the Board of Zoning Appeal. So this doesn't affect them, but it did kind of bring it to the forefront for us in regards to probably a change that we really didn't intend to make.
Any questions or comments? Okay.
I will also get out to you what their current parking is, what the change would be with this, and then what the change would have been with this, just so you can get an idea and kind of a perspective on what we're talking about, rather than just, kind of saying in generic words rather than the actual numbers. So I think that really helps.
Thank you.
Mr. Handberg.
Are we just reverting back to the 1 to 75 ratio for the actual seating area, or what is?
Yeah, plus, it's still plus 1 per 3 employees.
1 and 3. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, yes, Mr. Asperis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just thought of this. Does this need to be passed for them to start construction?
So they actually received a variance on the parking.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
sorry.
so as
That's
a
right.
result, they're good to go on it.
Okay.
But obviously, we wanted to address it with future projects. in mind.
Sure. That's my mistake. I remember you guys saying that now.
All right, we can move on.
Resolution 2324. I move that this resolution be placed on first reading.
Second.
Carr, seconds.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Asperis.
Yes.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Resolution 2324, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
I don't know if anybody would like to address this. Mr. Wheeler?
I am playing Mrs. Strimlin tonight. She did ask that I kind of talk about this, and I know she had sent a memo as well. This is really an annual housekeeping legislation. What this does is authorizes council authorizes the Wayne County Auditor to collect property tax on our behalf. So pretty straightforward. It's obviously a must-do She said it does not have to be passed tonight, but it would have to be passed by at the next meeting in order to meet the required Ohio deadline set forth. So if you don't pass it tonight, we would ask that it be passed at the next meeting.
I don't know if we're going to have a lot of hand-wringing over collecting income tax, so we may as well go ahead and...
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I move that Resolution 2324, I move that the rules, regulations, and statutes requiring the reading of a resolution on 3 separate days be suspended.
Schenken seconds.
Handwerk,
Yes.
Aspiris,
Yes.
Lax,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Shanklin,
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I move that Resolution 2324 be adopted as read.
Second.
Second Carr.
Aspiris,
Yes.
Lax,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel.
Yes.
Handwork.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That concludes our new business for this evening. Do we have any comments for the good of the order? Mr. Moyer.
There are so many examples of our city employees working around the clock and on the holidays, and in order to keep our city running. And actually, on Sunday afternoon, a water repair was made in the area north of our town, in the area of Route 57 and Whites Ford, and that affected 5 services. Some valve bolts failed. So the water crew repaired it beginning Sunday afternoon, and I think finished up between 8 and 9 p.m. So that's just another example of our city employees working around the clock to keep things running.
Not to include your dumpster watch.
Yes,
A
yeah,
couple of times a day, so.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
Mr.
ended
Lack.
today.
Okay, yeah.
I was asked by a couple people to bring up, could we do this dumpster thing every year? Is that something we would be considered?
Yeah, I think the mayor actually had mentioned that in regards to wanting to move forward with that. And yeah, I think it's a great idea, so.
Some people even suggested like a recycling, like a electronics recycling truck, maybe tires, maybe shredding truck, something like that, just.
Yeah, I agree. Solid Waste District, the Tri-County Solid Waste District, which we're part of, they do collect those items, so we would coordinate with them to see if they could have a truck available as well, especially like you said, for tires and electronics, things like that. We agree it's a great idea, and the mayor's really been pushing for that, so.
Because Abby would be really happy if I got the tires out of my yard.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to get rid of tires right now.
Yeah.
Goodwill used to take them years ago, but they haven't in a while.
And the library usually does a shredding.
Yes, we
thing
do.
At least twice
Yeah.
a year, I believe.
Yeah, we actually have a shredding company come in,
Yes.
and they're in our parking lot, and we announce it, and we put it on Facebook, and anybody can bring anything.
Yeah, after the flood, we read so many contracts, and when it came down to getting the dumpsters, we thought we could fit it under a community service day, but then it became an emergency that we have them. But yeah, I could see having a spring cleanup day in the spring, and then maybe even in the fall, but I think we probably covered the fall with the 3 weeks that we've had dumpsters out.
Anyone else?
Oh, sorry, I have one more thing.
Yes, Mr. Lax.
Mr. Wheeler or Mr. Rittinger. Down on Schrock Road, I noticed there's some dumping going on in that gully. I don't know if it's the owner doing it, or do you guys know anything about that, if there's any repair going on down there?
Yeah, we're working on that area. I don't know how much the owner's involved in that part of it currently.
I just noticed
Yeah.
4 or 5 dump trucks in there the other day just dumping into that gully, and I went,
Yeah, that's we actually have done quite a bit of different work on various stormwater areas, obviously, as we've kind of identified areas that, one, the flood impacted the areas, as well as 2, areas that obviously we need to upgrade in order to keep up with some of the storm events. So,
I just know whoever's going to call me and ask. I need to have an answer because I know who's going to call us.
Yeah, that culvert going across needed repairs, so that's part of that project.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? will entertain a motion to adjourn. Lax moves.
Second.
Squirrel seconds.
Lax.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Shanklin.
Yes.
Squirrel. Hamburg.
Yes.
Aspirus. Motion passes.
Thank you. Orville City Council will meet again on Monday, September 16th, 2024. And until then, we are adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.